And I'm not sure how deeply you've gone into the inquiry as to what bliss is. Because as much as it seems it's very straightforward, at the same time, it has many layers to it. And within those layers, there is increased levels of beauty. So one of the entry points to this state of bliss is happiness. And happiness is one of those treasures within human consciousness. We all feel that it's really important. And we go through great lengths in order to attain it. The process of yoga has recognized that simple human fact, that we are attracted towards that. But yoga also recognized that there is another tendency, and that tendency is the opposite of that which is the experience of bliss. But what's really interesting is that enveloped within it, that opposite experience, still exists that blissful state. And that may be something that you've connected to before, or it may seem like something which is foreign. But if we just slow things down, the awareness begins to pick up on a common thread. And that common thread is what we pay close attention to within the practice of yoga. Developing a deepening understanding of what stays constant throughout all of the beautiful transformation which occurs within the experience of the mind. And I'm putting it like this because this is the promise of the practice of meditation, is that if we're able to balance the experiences that we have within the mind, which then directly influences positively our emotions, then we are able to connect to a sustained experience of ananda, or bliss. Now, as we begin to see the beauty that exists within it, we always have to recognize that there is something else. There is always something else. And that's what I'd like to focus on quite a bit today. And begin to see, ideally from a deeper place, what that something else may be. And just to bring a little bit more clarity, what I'm speaking about is the experience of your mind and how we develop a relationship with it. And I think that we can probably all agree that the mind acts as though it is separate from us. Have you ever noticed this? Or maybe I'm just by myself on it. Like, have you ever stopped and just said, why are you doing that? Why are you thinking in this way? Like, potentially some of you visit negative thinking. And that's the time when I usually ask the question, why? For myself. Throughout the getting to know you process with the mind, it's important to recognize that it is your friend. And it's not even one of those friends that you can choose. It's one of those friends that you have. Every time you attempt to look away from that friend, the friend is still right there waiting for you. So this is one of the reasons why the first step into developing and sustaining your meditation practice is comfort. And from comfort, we then attain relaxation. And this combination of comfort and relaxation enables you to rest into the conversation which the mind is having. And it is a real one. It is a real conversation that the mind is having. And we want to connect to that conversation on a cellular level if possible. So in a very, very subtle place. Is it possible for you to show me your deepest comfort and relaxation at this moment in time? I want to be able to feel it. And that might sound funny, but it's possible. Let's see if you can feel my depth of comfort and relaxation. I'm going to demonstrate it the best way I know how. Ready? Can you feel it? You don't have to answer. And lean into it a little bit, and I will also see if I can feel it. This is pretty good. I think by the end of our talk, it's going to deepen. What's common is that we use the wording comfort and relaxation, and we practice it. We practice it every single day. We acknowledge it the moment we wake up. This is so comfortable. Oh, I'm so relaxing, and I fall asleep for another 5 minutes. We acknowledge that importance to us. But what we can build on is the fact that there is no end to its depth. There is no end to the depth that exists within comfort and relaxation. And I'd like you to very softly, very sweetly with yourself, recognize how many times within a day or within a week that your ability to be comfortable and relaxed holds you back, or pushes you into a direction that you would rather not, but you do it anyways. So that's just giving you some scope to work with as to the potential that exists within just simply becoming comfortable and relaxed. The second thing that I want to connect to is a built-in tendency for the mind to transform itself. It has a need. It has a very deep, pure want to continuously change over that which it is seeing and that which it is feeling. And it's worthwhile to ask this question, why? Why do you do that, mind? And over time, you will receive an answer, but it will maintain its same tendency of pushing an individual into a transformative state. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that? So everything is clicking along as normal, it's all great, and then all of a sudden, something happens. And that something which is happening is always incredibly positive, and how we experience it is varied. And what I want to know is, well, why does that happen? Why does a mind produce that which challenges an individual? And generally, it's an individual who already knows what the choice should be or is, what they can do, what they want to do, but yet they succumb to a particular pressure that exists within the relationship between the individual who is experiencing and the mind, right? So the mind is not who we are, because we keep bumping up against this experience we call mind, that shows us a thought, that has these emotions, that stimulates a personality. And we observe all of that which is occurring, and then the scene changes, and the observer still exists. So no matter what is happening, the observer is present. So to begin to see the tendencies that exist inside of us and then leverage it to our advantage. If there is any truth in the simple fact that we are built for transformation, then me being comfortable with that simple fact, I begin to expedite that and walk through the gates of my transformative life very quickly. So in simple terms, come on in. In simple terms, there is nothing that is holding you back except for your self-holding in a particular way. And this is very directed towards just a simple meditation technique. Because as we sit and we close our eyes and we begin to become comfortable, immediately the conversation begins. And the objective of a meditation practice is to quiet down that conversation. But how do we do that? I think that's probably some of the reason why we're here. And I say all kinds of things like distance yourself, notice the space between your thoughts, watch them float by as though they're on clouds. There's so many things that we can do. Dissolve the thought. But there's some resilience that's there. And it's worthwhile asking this question, well, why? Why is that happening? And what I feel is that a lot of times we are accepting the fact that there's experts that exist within this reality, and those experts know more than we do. So therefore, until someone tells us that something should be done differently, we just simply run with the same program that we've always done. And again, this is very pointed towards the meditation work that we're doing in this room. And I'm really encouraging you to become, in the sweetest way possible, truthful with yourself. In the sweetest way possible. So recognizing that you are perfect, right? That's romantic. This is sunshine. You're perfect in every single way. There's actually nothing wrong with you, and you do not need to change even for one moment. But simultaneously, we are built imperfect. There's many imperfections that are there. And that's the part that goes, It's challenging to handle that we might not be absolutely perfect. So therefore, the human psyche gravitates towards all of that which they are incredibly good at, to maintain a buoyancy, ignoring all of that transformation that must occur. Because why? Nobody knows the full answer as to why. But what remains the same is, since human beings considered a transformative conscious relationship with oneself, it has been there. Always striving towards that which is greater. And the reason why I bring this up is because the heights of the meditation process is that which is union. And what union means is that your inner reality looks the same as your outer reality, and your outer reality looks the same as your inner reality. And this is a piece of work that's been around for a long time, and the work is not designed to convince anybody of that. It's designed as a beacon or as a sounding board for individuals who are developing themselves. And then we ourselves as individuals can decide whether or not there's any truth to it. But let's consider it for a moment. If your inner reality, what your mind is picturing and showing you, were to match that which is occurring outside, this would be two things: either pristine peace and harmony or absolute chaos. And human beings, over the course of 20,000 years, on a real general level, have been attempting to change the outer environment to make the inner environment more suitable and desirable. And then there's been pockets who have sustained themselves for a very long time, which could be categorized as wisdom tradition, that took the other direction, focused on the inner environment, and then made the outer environment to then match it. And what comes out of it is simplicity. It seems to be consistent every single time. The more calm and relaxed an individual is inside, the increased simplicity exists outside. The more comfortable and relaxed inside, the more immersive they wish it to become. So beautiful temples are structured, meditation gardens, ponds, everything to immerse oneself. And that relationship between simplicity and immersion is what is connecting that individual into progression, walking one step at a time through their own personal transformation. And that's where the beauty begins to really surface, is that it's the individual's journey through transformation. As much as we are sitting in a room as a group, we are individuals experiencing things very, very different from each other. But on a collective, we understand these words as happiness, balance, harmony, bliss. We understand those, and we all share those experiences. But to get to those landmarks is radically different. And that's what makes the world so beautiful. And that's what fuels the importance for introspection, for becoming just simply honest with yourself. Because the increased honesty that one has with oneself is the ability to become a good friend, right? So any long-lasting relationship that you have, it is about that ability to listen. Become a good listener. And the ability to act on requests from that friend. And what I've noticed over the course of 20 years of my self-teaching, this is something that I've observed, is that people generally do not listen. We feel that the mind, you did so good, so good. See you later. For, I'm sure, really good reasons, on a general level, societal level, we had a belief that the mind is imagination. With some good ideas, but the deeper you go, the more abstract it becomes and the more imaginary. But everything which is content of the mind is absolutely real. Like, as real as this carpet real, as real as your body real. So now that raises the bar of importance. Because in our relationship, and as we develop a lexicon of communication, we actually are taking part in increasing the value of the mind and its tangible qualities. So now imagine this. How many thoughts do you have? And how many of those thoughts are random? How many of those thoughts are negative? Even just a little bit tinted in negativity towards yourself, towards someone else. And how many of those thoughts are incredibly grandiose, like the great thoughts? I think that's where I just live basically all the time. Grand. And for me, that's balance. So my work is then to ground myself into those grandiose, beautiful ideas and thoughts. And each and every one of us have them. Maybe some more grandiose than others. Maybe what you feel is important is different from the person sitting next to you. But the point that I'm communicating is that all that is functioning within the experience of the mind is coming from somewhere. It's coming from a source, not found outside here in imagination land, but inside you from reality. Your reality exists inside. Your reality does not exist outside. You visit these places. That's not very real, right? You go on vacation, you always say, okay, I'm going back to reality now. So all of this is a vacation spot. This is one of the coolest vacation spots in the city. And the place where you live in is inside. And I think that we can all agree that you even visit your bed, but you live inside your body. You communicate using your mind. You communicate using your body. And that combination between body and mind is on a continuous basis informing you as to what is happening, what's occurring. And we're continuously teaching ourselves. So there's stiffness. We have stiffness inside. Things that we're not very good at, but we're increasing our abilities in. Meditation is maybe one of those areas. You might feel a little bit stiff. You attempt to adjust, just like how you have dexterity within your body, we have the same level of dexterity within our mind. So if something is creating loud noise, you can just simply get it to become quiet. If you want to invoke a thought, well, everyone knows we can invoke whatever thought we want. So it seems like this in point is so functional, but the out point is sometimes not so functional. So the ability to quiet down the mind. And some of you may be saying, oh yeah, I know, I can quiet down my mind. I know what you're talking about. But when we're thinking in relation to meditation, it's on a very deep and high level, this quieting of the mind. So this means no interruptions of any kind. So every time there's a bloop happening, that doesn't need to occur. And the theories behind meditation is that if we can get to this state of pure relaxation, then we get an opportunity to access a very deep and powerful well that exists inside. But from this inside reality, it connects to the entire universe. And this is not me being fluffy. This is truth. It is the truth. Please research. So universal consciousness, this whole universe is filled with a substance that is generating intelligence. You are incredibly intelligent. but your intelligence is being used up with the incredible stories that you tell yourself. That we keep going, right? Your work is maybe not the most desirable, but you want to be positive, so you just talk yourself up all the time. And every time we dip into a negative cycle, we quickly bring ourselves back. And that's kind of how we've dealt with things for a really long time as society, is that we positive think our way out of it, we reinforce all of the good things that we do, and we continue on. While underneath there it's bubbling. Transformation. Something must begin to shift. So the mind is always changing. Nobody likes this word change. I've noticed. Change what? Nothing needs to change. So we're going to omit that step altogether and just go straight into transformation. So what happens if you begin to listen to that side that is maybe not your positive reinforcement? This is very scary. And I'm not saying go anywhere yet. I'm just saying just stay here and just look at it. It can stay where it's at and just simply look. Oh yeah, there you are. Hi, I'm Rameen. You feel strong. I'm just going to stay over here. So what would happen if you were to listen to that voice? Well, the potential is that you would then quit your job. You would maybe move out of the city. You would maybe switch up your partners. So on and so forth would begin to happen. Everything would begin to crumble away at your feet. But none of that which you were experiencing was desirable for you in the first place, but you were positive thinking your way through it. So then what's there on the other side? Dare I say, I don't know what's there on the other side. But if there's any truth to the patterns that you've had from the time that you were very, very young, there's something actually better for you on the other side. And how do I know that? Well, I watch early childhood development. And in early childhood development, they are much less concerned. So they have a toy, they're tired with the toy, they just throw it over there. And they find something better. They don't want to play with the toy. You try to get them to play with the toy that they just let go of. It's not happening. They like to eat a bagel. All of a sudden, bagels are no longer tasty. Attempt to make the child eat the bagel. It's not possible. The child will eat something else if they want, but definitely not the bagel. Right? So somewhere in there, it said, you must become responsible, and what comes with responsibility is to do things that you don't want to do. This could be very true. But now we have to go back into the relationship that we have with our mind and see, well, why? And listen to yourself. Self meaning higher self, which has all of the good ideas, which has the incredible insight, which is knowing what is coming next and is guiding you in that direction. And with the why, you'll find out two things. Either, yes, it is the toy that needs to be thrown away, or it is the adjustment of the lens that we're looking through within the mind. That the tint is too dark or too strong. That we're not seeing the true meaning of what is occurring in this moment in time, right now. Because it happens all the time. Do you guys know that person who reacts very strongly? They come over and you're pretty much guaranteed that Susie's going to say something that's going to make Jerry react. Do you know what I mean by that? And when something triggers the reaction, you also know as soon as you say something to Jerry, it'll diffuse it because he realizes, oh, that's not what she meant. That's not what was being said. That's not what I saw. But I thought I saw it. I thought I heard it. I thought I felt it. So this thought, which is inducing the response or the reaction, is really where I want to bring focus and attention to. To get to know yourself on such a level that there's no longer any hang-ups or getting caught. It is a willing, transformative experience. Change is there. Tell me the thought that you had 3 minutes ago. It's gone. I mean, you had it and it's disappeared. And always within this ancient tradition of yoga, the yogis who were living in the forests and the mountains sat on the river. And the reason why yogis sit on the river is because it's the reminder of the mind. That the mind is constantly flowing. It doesn't ever stop flowing. But all rivers lead towards one place. And that's the poetic beauty within it all, is that it's all going towards the ocean. So because we are of nature, we are also flowing, and therefore we are also going towards the ocean. Well, what is this ocean? This is consciousness. And within that ocean is the waves of bliss. And those waves of bliss are very real. Again, you feel them from the child. From when you are a child. So with a child, I hold my hands like this. And then I go. And the child tingling all over the place with such elation just feels that. There's a distance. But the reason why a child can feel that incredible sensation is because their mind is not tied to thought formations that create belief systems. There's no investment there. It's just pure witnessing a beautiful experience that is coming at them right now. And it's important to retain a level of depth within the discovery that is being made within the mind. Meaning that to use a word like bliss and the tingling sensations can sometimes become disorientating. It's so light. It almost puts you into a position where you start to forget what happened yesterday or the day before that. Because all of a sudden nothing really matters except for that which you are experiencing right now, because it is so incredibly beautiful. So the depth comes from a connection to the soul experience of yourself. So from this incredible ocean of bliss, as you feel these waves, there is a depth within you. So do we ever see the soul as being something that's dark? Or do you see it something that's being light? The soul is both one and the same. But the darkness that comes with the soul is this unknown component. The soul experience has seen so much. So it's common belief at the moment in time that the soul keeps going. And what changes is the body, what changes is thought and mind and circumstance, and my personality, but the soul experience just keeps going. So now imagine the wisdom that is retained through all of the experiences that have been happening. So some are incredibly great experiences, others are not so great experiences, and everything in between. The soul level sees it all. And as we go into that depth of understanding, that's actually what you know without any shadows of doubt. Not produced by the mind, but produced from a deep place inside. And that developing relationship in combination to those waves that come off the ocean is like this. Perfect. So again, now this is where meditation is a developing tool for a human being to understand themselves, who they are, and why they're here. And all can be achieved through a simple technique of relaxation. How do you relax? Get comfortable. How do you get comfortable? Show me. There's no one person that will ever be able to tell you anything. It doesn't exist. It's not possible. But sometimes what happens is you meet individuals that you can connect to the insight that is occurring and apply that insight to yourself in the most ecstatic and fun way. I mean, me looking out towards you guys, all of you look like you enjoy yourselves. Even when everything goes a little bit sideways. You know, when I laugh the most, generally, is when everything is going sideways. I think is absolutely hilarious. And I've been in some situations. And I just laugh and shake my head, and like it's incredible. But what else to do, right? Maybe you were taught differently. I was taught differently. But what are you going to do? It's already happened. And that's the beautiful thing, is that it's already happened. But now the response that I can achieve is going to transform the relationship that I have with that which is occurring, and then that which is then about to occur. So this is the future. The future is now, like this. And the future just keeps pressing. And we all hope and dream towards the future that everything will be different, everything will change, I will get that, I will do this, I will become. And it's all very true. But the poetic quality within it is that it's happening, oh, future gone, gone, gone. It's right like that. And it's transformative rhythm. And this is the dance. It is the Ananda Tandava. So the Ananda Tandava is that big Shiva that's out there, that's going to be in here. And he has a drum. And that drum has a rhythm. And that rhythm is playing off of a vibration. And it's the vibration of consciousness itself. It's the original building block that makes this microphone. But in order for something to be created, something else has to then dissolve. If you have a thought in your mind, in order to make space for another one, it must dissolve. Right? You can keep them in a line like a train, but it's one by one by one by one. But this creative expression is very, very dynamic. And it's wild. So within that dance, and if any of you have ever danced in your life, you know what is generated from the center of the dance. It's an incredible elation that begins to emerge from the center of the being. The human being begins to experience a combination from the chemistry that reminds or that directly connects to the bliss. Hence, the Shiva is the Ananda Tandava, which is the blissful dance. So life is like that. Thousands of years back, they were on that same notion that there's a quality within our experience that maintains the same. You wake up touching this elation. You go to sleep touching this elation. And everywhere in between, we're attempting to retain it. And if we do not retain it, we're wondering who took it away from us. within that blissful dance, he holds one hand like this that says, don't worry, don't be afraid. And one could say, well, why shouldn't I be afraid? And his other hand is holding a mudra like so, which is the mudra of Ganesh. Ganesh is the remover of obstacle at a rudimentary level. But also in that left hand, he's holding a flame. And that flame represents tapas. And tapas is a heat that's produced within the body-mind experience. Generally, it's felt physically, mentally, or spiritually. Those three ways. So you know that you're on the right track when you're feeling the heat. How Shiva knows all of this is depicted through him lifting one foot. And this lifting of one foot signifies liberation, meaning that that symbol represents doing it before. You've done this before. Reincarnation is a great possibility. And if it is a possibility in your mind, then you've done this before. And if it is not a possibility in your mind, you've still done this before. It's called yesterday. 5 minutes ago. 2 minutes ago. 1 minute ago. 30 seconds ago. 10 seconds ago. 5 seconds ago. And now 1 second ago you did that. Again and again and again. And we're on a continuous basis liberating ourselves, either successfully or unsuccessfully, but always in that thread of dynamic expression, creativity, and we're always faced with this concept of fear. It's a continuous. Some of you are concerned you're going to get uncomfortable and start wiggling around in meditation, and then everyone will hear you. This is there. But all of this fear is developed through a little demon that the Nataraj stands on. And that little demon that he's standing on signifies ignorance. Again, this is a word nobody wants to hear. Just plug the ears. But ignorance is a pseudo-bliss, right? If you don't know and if you don't see, then you can just keep doing what you're doing. But this ignorance also holds us back. Holds you back from achieving that which you wish to achieve. And I'm just simply talking about meditation right now. I'm not even talking about your personal life. This is just meditation. But if we can begin to develop ourselves through that which we don't know and make it known, then all of a sudden we get full spectrum. We begin to see as much color as we can see in all areas. And what we begin to transform is that which we call dark becomes light. And the only reason why it becomes light is because you are looking at it. And what is doing the looking? Well, we get to ask one of my favorite questions. Well, who are you? And if you can consistently ask the question and keep going back, very soon you begin to realize that you are actually nothing of that which you keep saying that you are. So then what is this light that emanates from you, using your eyes, using your ears, using your nose, using your mouth, using your skin to connect to this environment? That is known as pure awareness. Pure meaning has no agenda, only observing, witnessing. the mind and the free will has this beautiful jargon that makes everything creatively make sense. But what pure awareness does is it is in the realm of knowing that everything makes sense. So there's no jigging or shimmying. It just is. So every war on the planet makes sense. All the pollution on the planet makes sense. All the beautiful flowers on the planet make sense. All the beautiful beings on the planet make sense from this perspective. And if you're curious and you're asking why, I don't know how that makes sense, then just look inside your own mind. So we live on a planet with billions of people just like you. So if you see the chaos and the fight that may occur within your mind, then if you just blow it up to a global scale, well, that's how a war starts. And that's how a war is sustained. But that's also how the war is resolved. So if you're in transformation on an individual level, and if we can agree with that, then also on a global level, we are in transformation. But from the mind perspective, this doesn't make any sense. War does not make sense. Pollution doesn't make any sense at all. Why people need to go hungry doesn't make sense. But when we put it into perspective as an individual going through transformation, we begin to see the logic behind this human method, that we're actually growing, that we do not know what is next. We do not know what this pure awareness thing is. We do not know how the collective mind works yet. But we're getting closer, much, much closer. And the only thing that needs to happen today, as a future, is for us to simply re-engage. And I say it like that, re-engaging, because all of you are already engaged, but now a fresh start of friendship with one's mind. And now holding each other accountable for this quality of space that is now maintaining and retaining the strength of the individual rather than depleting. Retaining and maintaining. So if you ever wanted to be a really good person, but you looked at so many books and there's just so many things out there that says, I could do this to become a good person, this to become a good person. And when I say really good person, I mean really good at being a person. Like, you're already good people, but are you very good at it yet? Really good person. I need Harry here. That little guy. He's going to be a really good person. 5 things. And you can take it or leave it. It might work for you, it might not. But it summarizes for me a lot of the wisdom tradition. And I call it the 5 Qs. It's me, myself, the I, connecting to the quality of body. And if I can make my body to the utmost quality, then what I'm living in is pristine, and I'm able to connect to my whole person, right? Because if this is not of the highest quality of maintenance, and you don't have to have a particular way of maintaining it, but then it becomes little dead zones here and there. So, quality of body. So right now I just sat up a bit taller and the quality of my life just increased that much more. You guys look so bright right now. Quality of breath. So again, this is the life giver. Nothing happens without it, so it's the source to all things, right? You have a good idea, it's because you inhaled. That's why it happened. Quality of mind. So this is of the utmost pristine experience. And if I can maintain that, then I'm actually working through my cycle of transformation. Quality of action, which is a big one, because remember, we are in the future here at every single moment in time. And because the future is happening, I must maintain a very high quality of response. And this seems to work really well. Quality of body, breath, mind, action, and response. And then it just keeps going action, response, action, response, action, response. And then the platform for all of that to execute from is body, breath, mind. And now if we fit that into a meditation practice, it becomes a very simple way of connecting to deep comfort and relaxation, which is the key to it all. Let's close our eyes. Sweet, 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 sweet with yourself. Be sweet. And the only thing that we must pay close attention to in today's meditation is deepening our comfort and relaxation. And let it take you all the way into the depths of your meditation experience. Through pure awareness, we engage the mind as the friend. Nothing needs to be said per se from this awareness because it is already known. It's just trusting in what you know. and allow that understanding to manifest your future through being absolutely present. In its transformative moments. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. And without any interruption, maintain the quality of space. No thought or idea enters into that space. Keeping the eyes closed, soften the gaze. And allow your eyes to slowly and gently open. So that which we experienced just now is your inner reality. And the conversation that you're having is with the closest friend that you will ever have. And the beauty of that reality is that it is eternal space. So as much space as you believe exists when you look up in the sky, the exact same amount of space exists when you close your eyes. And we choose to hold space exactly like this. How you feel it, how you see it, how you are within it. And that is subject to transformation, up-leveling, steadying, grounding. And it's done through simplifying and allowing everything to speak, and then you having the strength to act on that which is being said, not from the production of the mind that is ever so flashy, but from that truth quality of yourself that you know you should do, that you know that this is the next step, that comes from a deep well of understanding. What we have to do on an organic matter level is keep organizing the brain to orientate towards that wisdom that comes from that knowledge base and understanding. Right? We know this more and more every day. You know it more and more every day. Why? Because you are understanding, but also because the collective is understanding. The brain is changeable, movable, plastic. Just like I say, okay, hair on the head, move a little bit. Same thing, neurons, move a little bit. And that's amazing. So what is occupying your time inside your reality developing a yes or a no. Is it conducive? Is it working or not? And if not, let it go. How? Close your eyes and get to know yourself so intimately. Breathing, creating space, and feeling your natural ananda, this blissful state that's just always there. It's proven. And also have lots of fun. No questions today. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Meditation is potentially the coolest activity you could ever do. Legit. Gods, goddesses do it. Sports enthusiasts, singers, songwriters, everybody does it.